You're listening to Zen and the Art of Endurance, your podcast for getting great at going long.
Well, hey there, all you endurance studs and studettes. This is Coach Brett with another great episode of Zen and the Art of Endurance, the podcast where we go long and learn a lot about ourselves along the way. It is early in the morning, Sunday morning. I am in North County, San Diego, staying at my friend Morgan's house. I'm in San Diego from Texas because I was here all week for a software conference and then staying a couple extra days afterwards with the big software crash that took everything down at the airports and such. Didn't affect me because I was already going to fly out on Sunday. Well, so far, I guess we'll find out when we get there. But we're getting up early. Morgan also has to fly out to, I think, North Carolina or something like that. So we're going to the airport at the same time. And I have had quite a weekend. It's really fun. Went to the Canyon store. You know, you can only buy Canyons online, but they do actually have a store presence where they've got bikes and you can test ride stuff here in San Diego. And it's actually the second time I've ever been there. I went there a couple years ago, and they have Jan Frodeno's bikes. They have Matthew Vanderpool's bike. And they have Lionel Sanders' jersey and a whole bunch of cool stuff and the latest mountain bikes and race bikes, bikes that won the Giro d'Italia. It's all pink. I forgot whose bike that is. And so you can kind of see like a small museum of cool stuff. And also, while I was there, I got Kai a hat and some stickers. So, it's bringing home all the stuff that you should bring home when you go on a trip someplace for the family to enjoy. Stuffed animals for Emily and Kylie, they wanted some. And should real quick mention that the major content of this show is the audio from the video that I recorded riding my bike for about an hour and 15 minutes back in Texas. And that was published to YouTube a few days ago. And it's a typical bike ride. The middle to end of it, I talk about the Zen approach to death and how Zen practitioners study the stages of what happens to the body after you die. And it's all kind of funky and gruesome and stuff. But really what it's supposed to be is to teach you that everything's temporary. And if you know that everything's temporary, then you know bad things pass, but you also know that good things pass. You know, this too shall pass kind of thing. So there's that. Towards the front of the audio, I talk about how with sealant in tires, you know, there's all these additives now, like silica, carbon nanotubes, or whatever they put in there, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, dude, you can just get some hair clippings and chop them up real fine and throw them in there from your dog or from when you shave your legs or whatever you do. And that actually works pretty good. And they are carbon based and they are nano strings and they work actually really great. So I talk a little bit about that. And then towards the end, one thing I come across an alligator and I talk about that, but also there's a little bit of audio of me going around. I didn't get to finish before the battery died on the video, but I was talking about head position on sitting upright. And if you do sit all the way upright, you still want to tilt your head down a little bit because your head sticking up is a huge amount of drag. I talk about that a lot during the video. So, but while I'm talking about that, I'm in the training cave and it's a wall of participation and podium stuff from all the races that Emily and Kai and I have done over all the years. And it's a lot of really cool stuff. So you can kind of see this museum of endurance stuff. And again, it's not all mine. And it's a lot of people's. So it's kind of neat. So go check all that out and the video of the alligator over on the video and leave a comment. That's really cool. And that's pretty much the content of the show. It's really nice to be double creating, and I put stuff on YouTube and then I also put it out on audio like this podcast you're listening to now. And on the audio version, I get to kind of explain things a little bit more. And it's still a lot of work. And I got a new Patreon subscriber named Derby City Dan. So thank you so much. And if you want to support Zen and the Art of Endurance, it really helps out the show a lot and helps us get great content out there to everybody, because it helps pay for getting all this done. It does take a lot of time and quite a bit of money to make podcasts and videos and such, for all the equipment and gear and time spent. So you would not believe how much it really helps. And so you can go over to patreon.com/ZenTry. It's still named after the old show because that's when I set it up a long time ago. Patreon.com/ZenTry, and sign up for a subscription. And there's going to be a lot more to come, like special stuff through ZenTry and ZenEndurance and access to things. And also, if you want to help support the show with like a sponsorship, or you want to do like some advertising on the show, or like promote a product, that is really handy. And on that note, I do have some carbon fiber aero bar extensions that should be back at the house, delivered back at the house in Texas. I'm flying out today from San Diego to go to Texas, and UPS says that they're sitting at the house. So that'll be really cool. And of course, now with the video channel on YouTube, we can like show them and do all that stuff. Oh, if you want coaching, by the way, texafornia@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram. You can DM me if you want to do an interview. Then the best other way to find me is on Instagram. Just message me, or if I already follow you, then just DM me. Anyway, the funny thing that's also happened this week is when I got here, there were no electric scooters to get the 1.5 miles from my hotel to the conference every day and back, and also to go to lunch and stuff like that. So I did something pretty crazy, but also pretty typical of an endurance athlete with no mental boundaries, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. And I used my son's old Razor scooter to get there. But there's two different kinds of Razor scooters. There's the little ones, like pretty much for kids with the tiny little wheels. But Razor actually makes, or did make, I don't know if it's still out there, a Razor scooter with wheels that are like 8 inches tall. And it's really an adult size and adult speed and really fast, and just glides along. A Razor scooter. So I got resourceful, folded that thing up, threw it in the bottom of my big duffel bag, and brought it. And I Razor scootered 1.5 miles back and forth between the hotel and the conference every day. And it ended up being faster than if I went, and definitely cheaper because it cost nothing. And I brought a little tiny bike lock and locked it to the bike rack. And I'm just gliding along on this thing about the speed as if you were running, and just giving a little push every once in a while. And it's San Diego, so it's like 75 degrees. I'm just a little push and a little push, and boom, next thing I know, I'm there. And it took me like 15 minutes, 10 minutes or something. And you experience the city like at the speed of a jog. And so like, but it's effortless almost. It's almost as effortless as doing an electric scooter. And it was a really interesting experience. And the kind of like a freewheel on a bike, that makes that hornet's nest sound and people know that you're coming up behind them. A metal scooter makes all kinds of rattling sounds and stuff. And people would hear me coming up behind them, and I would just like do it. And then what was really funny was like I'd come out of the hotel and I'd unfold the thing, and I'm not even like, I'm at the door of the hotel. It's even faster than like walking to your car and then like getting in your car. I just unfold the scooter and I just go, right? And then when I got to the conference center, there's a bike rack right outside the door. So I just locked it to the bike rack. And if you did the electric scooters, you had to walk a block or two to get to the electric scooters. And then when you parked one, you had to still walk a block or two to get to the conference center. So this was door to door. And I'm actually kind of glad that I did it. And I think I might do it again next year. So yeah, that's been my crazy experience of being a nutso endurance athlete and really enjoying it. And then also the other thing is the Tour de France is about to wrap up. I guess today is the last day, a time trial day. And Pogacar won and Vingegaard is in second. And that's always a nice distraction if I'm on the road. Usually the Tour de France happens while I'm at this software conference. And y'all want a nerdy moment. If you haven't heard of what actually crashed all the Microsoft Windows stuff with the, it's kind of like antivirus. What's the name of that company? I don't know. We use it at work. It'll come to me in a second. CrowdStrike, that's what it is. They pushed out a patch or, an update to the software without testing it on enough stuff that through some logic in the math, did a deduction that it should access this part of memory that is not allowed to be accessed by Windows. And if something tries to access that section of memory on your Windows machine, then as a precaution, because maybe it's like dangerous for that part of memory to be accessed, Windows has a built-in feature where it just shuts the computer down and crashes it on purpose. And so, programmers accidentally let or told CrowdStrike software to actually go do that. And so all these machines like shut themselves down. And then the fix is to somehow to boot up the computer in safe mode, I think, so that all it's running is Windows, and then go remove that piece of software, that CrowdStrike software. I think. I'm not the one that actually did it, but I do work in IT, and my whole IT department, back where I work, was I was watching the chatter and the communication between all of them, trying to go around the city and bring up the 911 dispatch center, bring up the police department, fire department, all the financial systems for paying utility bills and all that stuff, and like running around trying to fix it. When they figured out the fix, all of them trying to do that. So there were some real heroes out there that day fixing that stuff. So now that was actually what it was. It was trying to access a protected area of Windows, and Windows shut itself down to protect itself. And it was bad programming. And at least that's the latest I've heard. So there's your little tech section. Yeah, that's it. So let's go ahead and get started with the audio for my bike ride. Oh, yeah, so the very last thing is I was sweating right off from the beginning because I recorded about half an hour into the bike ride. It's really hot. I managed to sweat or drink water or whatever, drip it into the, it's got stereo mics. And I bought wind muffs. They're little tiny little things to put on the camera, so to reduce wind noise. And I actually got sweat or water into one or both of them. And as I'm riding, it goes from like clear to muffled, to clear to muffled, to clear to muffled. You totally get used to it after a while. It's not that bad. You can still hear just fine. It's just crisp versus muffled, back and forth a little bit. And y'all are endurance athletes, and y'all are tough, so y'all can handle it. The content is actually still like totally worth it. And so just, you'll be all right. And next time, I'm going to get different style wind muffs that actually won't do that. They're really cheap, and I'm going to fix that. And we will continue on our journey of trying to figure out how to do video and audio out of the same device. And I'm loving it. I think it's so much fun doing a video. I wish now that I could just video every bike ride all the time for safety's sake. It's really cool. It's like having a dash cam, but the batteries just won't last that long for like a 4-hour ride. The battery on the camera, it's an Insta360, lasts at most an hour and 15 minutes. And the upside of that is it keeps my conversation on the camera out on the ride down to about an hour, which is something, because I go on and on about stuff like I am right now. It helps make sure that I make shows nice and compact, relatively speaking, and don't ramble on too long. Yeah, so keep subscribing to the show. Keep coming back and listening, because the audio is always we're on a path of continuous improvement. And it's a lot of stuff to try to figure out at first. And you're not going to learn unless you try. And we're going to keep trying. And it's going to keep getting a little bit better. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's what we do. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the audio. Join me as we start off on a bike ride across the Texas countryside. About an hour and 15 minutes talking about sealant and Zen and death, and then head position, body position, and spotting an alligator. All right, here we go.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett, I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right, we are on a 4.5 hour ride. We're about 20 minutes in. Stop to turn things on. We're gonna get off this gravel here in a second so we can actually hear. And we're gonna be jumping in and out of locations, mostly when I'm going with the wind so it sounds better. And we're gonna cover a whole bunch of little technical things. And if we get lucky, a little bit of Zen towards the end or mixed in. Right now, I'm behind Santa's Wonderland. There's a road that goes behind it. That even though it's an out and back dead end, it's got a nice hill in it. So I'm still pretty much warming up. And while I try to catch my breath going uphill, start from scratch. One thing that I did this morning, before I even left the house, that I thought I would share as a trick. I learned to help you unclip faster and click back in faster. If you're doing any kind of off-road, even on-road, it is nice to be able to unclick the millisecond you want to. And when I notice that starts getting hard, kind of sluggish, I put waxy chain lube on my cleats of my bike shoes, putting it on the pedals too. And it's a miracle, and it'll last a few rides. When you do it again, it just takes a tiny little bit. And I use Squirt. I used to use Muck Off, but Muck Off after you use it a while, it creates this kind of weird buildup. Maybe fine for some people, but Squirt doesn't seem to do that. So I use that instead. But all right, about to turn into a headwind, so we'll be right back. All right, we are climbing up one of our little local hills. So got some cyclists holding people up. Oh, I forgot my white blinky light. Oh, is that it? So, getting back on the gravel bike, past couple of rides after riding the tri-bike, it really becomes apparent how much better lower PSI is. Let's see. What was I doing there? 250 watts. Only 130 heart rate. That's pretty nice. But not this little stretch of road in particular, but so much of what I ride is this chip seal. Car back. Clear back. And I think I'm running about 32 front and rear PSI on gravel tires, but with smoothish tread. The Pathfinder Pro in the front has a smooth center, and the Sawtooth in the back has inverted tread. You know, because I like to drift. Going around gravelly corners. But really handy tool. It doesn't cost much at all. It's a digital tire gauge. And yesterday I went for a ride, or 2 days ago I went for a ride. My rear tire's been leaking air. And I'm like, man, I need to do something about that. Yeah, it's hot. It's been a few months since Gravel Locos. The sealant might be drying out. Plus I've had some punctures, so it might have leaked out. But there's a trick. If you're a bike geek and you follow all this stuff, they keep introducing threads or fibers of some sort into your sealant to keep it, to help it clot up. Oh wait, I don't think I was supposed to go this way. Let's go the other way. I got distracted. This will add a little bit of extra time. And that's what happens. Get distracted. Bonus climb. And they're always talking about natural fibers. And even like ZenEndurance or Race Formula or something has like these little white fibers mixed in that clot up. One time I was sitting there, Silka's coming out with all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I wish I had some of that, but I don't have any money to spend on that. Buy more sealant when I've already got sealant laying around. Got a mix of stands and orange seal. That's our two local favorites. So when I come back, it's about to get windy. I'll tell you what I did and how well it worked. It works pretty good. All right, got a little uphill here, a little bit of headwind. I'm now on a road to the best kind of, if you are going to do an out and back, it's the best kind. It's a lollipop, which I'll show you here in a second. But another tip for speed that I found out is I'm wearing a summer jersey, one of these jerseys that is so meshy and nice. The problem is I've outgrown it. I've undergrown it. It's gotten old, so it's a little loose, and I've lost weight, so it's even looser still. And you get all this baggy material, which is suboptimal for being efficient. The trick I've learned is to put heavy, small, but some heavy things in the back pocket. And one is cell phone, and what that'll do is it'll pull the jersey back so it's tighter. So you get more use out of this jersey and less drag. And then another one is for the water stop along the way. When I go low on water and I got about an hour left, in here I've got 2 servings of sodium citrate, which is electrolyte. It weighs a little bit. Probably 4 ounces, 6 ounces. And I put that in my center pocket, and it pulls the jersey back. Hold on, I'll be right back. Now the thing where people are putting the bottle down the center of their chest, that's illegal in Ironman right now. They're doing it in gravel racing. But you have to have a jersey that'll actually handle that and hold it centered in place. And I saw in a video that Dylan Johnson was wearing some kind of thing that somebody made that had a sleeve in the middle where you could put the bottle in it and it would hold it and keep it centered, because when I did it, it was moving all over the place. I got some wind, I'll be back in a second. So, look at all this advancements in tire sealant. Silka is the best. They got nano particles, which I'm not sure if that's actually good for the environment or not. But got a dog hairball that's just like a tumbleweed rolling across the floor. And I'm like, huh. And I think people underappreciate hair. They used to make furniture out of horsehair and stuff, and rope. But hair is biodegradable, so there's that problem. It clumps. I'm looking at it, clumping into a hairball, rolling around. Might be able to do the same thing with lint. And then, when I was a kid, my grandmother had a little vegetable and herb garden. And she would go to the local barber shop and get human hair sweepings. She wouldn't touch them. Put them in a Ziploc and then sprinkle them on the garden, because she had a problem with deer eating her veggies. And it works, supposedly. She said it did. To keep deer away from your veggies and eating your food. Oh, when we come back, maybe we'll get a view of that Bronco. That's cool. And so I tried it. I took hair clippers that I used to shave or shave my legs, electric clippers, and chopped up the pieces so they weren't too long. Let's say like 2 to 5 millimeters. Took, a teaspoon of the stuff maybe. And put it into my tires with sealant, the next batch of sealant, and it worked. I noticed that if I had sprung a leak, it would take a whole lot longer for it to leak out. Okay, we're gonna go this downhill, and it's gonna be loud, so we'll come back here in a second. All right, we are back. About to do a turnaround and go up the worst case scenario of a hill. So it's slow, it's up, and there's dogs. So these aren't dogs we're gonna be able to out sprint. One of them was really nasty. One of them was real cute. So we'll see. Got my water bottle ready to spray them, just in case. One reason to carry extra water. And then also I'm talking, which a lot of times you can get by dogs by being quiet and not shifting and not coasting. And then it's too late. But this isn't out and back. They know they've got me. I deal with this every long ride. So, I mean, it sounds gross, put hair in there. I don't know, it's your hair. It's okay because it's your dog, as they say in the movie. Here's our little guy. Oh, here we go. If I'm not feeling threatened by them, I actually like it. I feel like it gives them a workout. And then every once in a while when I take the tire completely off, oh, they were behind a fence. That's cool. I'm glad y'all are behind a fence. Those are the size of those horses. I want a rooster. He's checking it out too. Pretty dogs. And when I scrape out old sealant that's dried up and put in, you know, because you should do that every once in a while, I can't even tell if there was hair in there. So, I don't know. Seems to work. But look at this road right here. This is the nasty chip seal that I usually avoid roads like this on my tri-bike. And then I don't get all this pretty countryside and the opportunity to be mauled by dogs. But I really enjoy these back roads. Because the road is so rough. But I didn't even realize how rough, I'd forgotten how rough it was riding it. Low PSI. And we're going into the wind, so I'll be right back. All right, here's another out and back. So this whole section I'm on, being out west, is called Westward Ho. It's a subdivision if you want to look it up, south of College Station. And it's a long road with two big drop-offs that I'm climbing up here. I added it in for extra elevation gain. So I coast all the way down these long hills and then ride up them for the extra hill work. Turns out there's dogs on the road. I've only been bitten once on this road. Nip me. So, riding the tri-bike with 23 PSI in the front, or 23 millimeter tire on a narrow rim, I was like, it's so addicted to riding lower PSI because it's so much faster. There's another little guy. Here he comes. Yeah. Don't make me kick you, buddy. I don't want to. There's a Rottweiler right there. That's the serious one. So riding with a TPU inner tube, I'm like, I'll probably be all right. Riding a little bit lower PSI than what I used to. So I'm running at 100. Instead of what used to be required was 120 for my weight. There's a chart. And it was fine. I mean, it was rough on that stuff that we were just riding on back there. But That very first patch of gravel road, boom, pitch flat. Within a mile, maybe less, because the lower PSI has the rim come in contact with the ground and it tears the inner tube. Alright, be right back. Alright, we're about to have some fun gravel. Gonna get some speed on this baby. A cool trick to learn is if you can, if you're doing a bottle that's kind of loosish on your front here, because it's level, it's not being supported like this, bounce out or be rattly, try to finish the water that's in that one while you're on pavement. That's your pavement bottle. And then when you hit the rough stuff, it's empty-ish. So at least it's not full. Okay. I'm back way over the seat. Don't have a dropper post, so I'm hanging my ass off over the back. There's some rough stuff right down here. Oh shit. Dang it, I had to put on the brakes. We'll get on the way back. I nodded at him, you couldn't tell. And then nod and smile if you can't wait. And hold on a second. I keep getting phone calls. So this is the end of a dirt road, and because my cleat was lubed up, it's super easy to pop out and put a foot down. Man, I'd love to have tubeless road wheels for my tri-bike. But you know, part of the whole tubeless thing is to have wider rims. To have wider rims, you need to get away from caliper brakes, sorta. There's ways around that. Old cyclocross style brakes work pretty good. Cantilever brake. But anyway, we have to buy a whole new wheel set. But then you get away from these pinch flats. I thought that was a snake. Whee! That's probably not even 30 miles an hour, but it feels like 40 when you're trying to dodge potholes. I think until you can go tubeless to get the low tire pressure that makes you faster and have a more supple, enjoyable ride. I mean, this is like riding a magic carpet because these are tubeless with low PSI. The inner tubes are just like backup until even TPU ones, as tough as they are. I mean, I'm gonna have to run them for a while until I get a different wheel set or a different bike, but different tri-bike, which is definitely not in the cards. These are expensive, and mine's still pretty good. It just doesn't have disc brakes. It's the only thing it's lacking. But, well, then I can't put wider wheels in it either. But because of the risk of pinch flats, still, you got to run higher PSI. That's one reason people run high PSIs, is to avoid pinch flats, because with more air pressure, the rim's less likely to, the tire's less likely to squish enough for the rim to tear the inner tube, and it sucks. Now, we used to take it for granted. All right, we're gonna go into headwind for a little bit, and then we'll be back. Maybe talk about some Zen. All right, we're about to head that way. It's busted up concrete, and then it's gonna turn to gravel for a long ways. I thought I'd show something. I don't know if we can see it. There's a better way. This is actually 2 pairs of socks, and I'll explain why in a second. It's kind of funny. I thought about it after, well, while I was riding. I thought, oh, I ought to share that. So, in places where it's really hot, one of our problems is our shoes get filled with sweat really easy, and I've learned that if you wear, the longer the socks, the more exposed fabric you have for it to evaporate off before it reaches your feet. And it really works if you wear longer socks. But having done this stuff for 20 years, you know, you get free socks at races. People give you socks for Christmas. And some of them are just kind of ankle high, lower calf, quarter calf, you know, whatever. And then those are fine in the winter months until it starts getting hot in the summer. And then there's a car way off in the horizon up here. Probably gonna turn left. Little intersection that goes that way. And then have long socks or other shorter socks where you wear them so much that you wear the toes or heel out. You're about to, and I've only figured this out just recently. As I'm throwing them away, we both reached for the last toy, and as I was raining blows down upon his head, I realized there has to be a better way. And I was like, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna cut the sock from like the ankle up, throw away the bottom, keep the top. And initially it was to use them for wristbands for on the trainer to absorb sweat, to save some money, and instead of buying more and more of those things. And then I got the crazy idea. It worked fine, but then I got the crazy idea. Let's see, we're an hour and a half in. This is a 2-hour bottle, so I need to that's good for now. Knock it down to half an hour. So I use clear bottles. I was like, you know what? The actual top of the sock is fine. I'm gonna connect to a short sock to make one long sock. Especially when I run, man. Your feet, that's the worst. Because you don't get anywhere near as much wind over your feet to pull water away, sweat away. I was like, I gotta put on my good socks, and then take these sock sleeves that are left over and pull them up high. And then that'll make one long sock. And I've done it probably 4 times now, overall. And it works, man. My feet stay drier longer. There's probably an aero gain effect of covering up your leg hair. You don't shave your legs all the time. I shave them for races. That's about it. Anyway, I thought I'd share that cool little trick. So on Zen Death, we don't want to go into this too long because part of it's really gross. And it's kind of a turnoff, but it's cool to know. So I think it's predates Zen, it's a straight Buddhism. And it's the practice of observing or contemplating bodies after they die, to the point of where there's like, they number the stages, 9 stages. I get an arrow position here. Oh wait, let me do a little camel backward. And one thing they say, the reason ancient Eastern religions, belief systems, and whatever, are so into numbering things, the 4 noble truths, the whatever stages, noble path, I can't think of them right. The 9 stages of death. You know, it's all these numbers. It's because these are mostly oral traditions, and it's easy to remember how many things there are if also you remember the numbers. And you're like, okay, 8, I know there's 9. But you can Google it. Wikipedia has a good write-up on it. And I thought it was to not be afraid of your own death. You think about how you're going to die. And maybe some people do use it that way. You know? And just like Christianity, Eastern religions are full of their own sects of different, you know, like they have their own versions of Protestant versus Lutheran versus Catholic versus Episcopalian, like all that stuff. So, you know, maybe it is used in some areas. You think about yourself dying, and then when it happens, it's not so foreign, you're not so freaked out about it. But no. Oh. Getting the drops a little chunky here. It's actually more about teaching you to not get all enamored with something. Oh, I just thought of a good analogy. Because that thing's beautiful now, but it's gonna eventually fall apart. So think about it when it's falling apart and not so hot and sexy. And then you're like, oh, okay. My feelings for this are actually temporary. It's why you marry somebody for their personality, not just their looks. Or both, like Emily, right, baby? And so the 9 stages are, you know, like the initial dying, and then like the body bloating, and then animals picking away at it. And finally, you know, like I think the second to last stage is where it's a skeleton, but it's still all in one piece. And then eventually the skeleton breaks apart into smaller bones. And Really interesting. You start thinking about that, you start thinking about the thing that you want so bad, that that's eventually what's going to happen to it, no matter what it is. You know, 5 billion years, the Earth is going to get swallowed up by the sun, so even all this is going to be gone. We're halfway through the process. But I need to be using this right now to think about it. Thinking about bikes. We desperately need a new bike. Or just watching, you know, like all the cool bike stuff. Just remember, man, they show bikes, they're only like 10 years old and they're like completely out of date. Can't upgrade them. Can't invest any more money in them because it's worthless. Got several bike skeletons sitting in my garage right now. I got a road bike that's cannibalized for parts. It's a beautiful bike with campy everything, titanium frame. But compared, let's say it's 12, 15 years old, compared to what's out now, you know. And if you have a limited budget and you're into racing and enjoying the countryside, it's like, well, where do you want to spend your money? Repairing that old thing? Or getting a gravel bike with more clearance and better geometry? Because you're like, yeah, it's fun to ride vintage bikes, but I can tell you for sure the two biggest things are, as the geometries change, figure out what works better, biking becomes way more safer. You got an old mountain bike and it feels dangerous, like you do not want to ride it very much. Modern bikes, mountain bikes, and gravel bikes are turning this way. You ride in them instead of on top of them. So you're much less likely to flip over the front. And then the frames need to have clearance for wider tires so you can ride at lower tire pressure. And then you're not changing inner tubes all the time and being stranded. You enjoy riding a whole lot more. Now, riding a modern bike is more about enjoying the ride, not just about being faster. It's when you get more time riding because you're less time crashing or walking because you had a flat or stuck. So yeah, the Zen death meditation is way more about learning to not be attached to things that come and go. And then you can enjoy what you're doing right now more. That thing will pass in like buses. The next cool thing will be along in 5 minutes anyway. So don't get too worked up. The gravel biking came out of nowhere. That was so cool. All right. We're headed into the wind, but this is going to be fun. I just figured I'd throw it in. Nice view. Next ridge line over there. This turns to gravel at high speed. Can we hold on? Arrow position. Ooh. Okay, down to the drop. Oh, got some washboard. Back to the arrow position. Again, arrow position, high bike racing we do at Kai, you can hear my voice ripple with the washboard there. The whole day before the race, free riding. Everybody gets an hour or two to do a couple laps on the course. It's also a safety thing, keeps you from crashing. All right, we'll be right back. The Brazos River is just a few hundred feet that way. The gate's open, but this is private property. Held a mess of locks. I'm sure there's something symbolic about life and whatever with that. But now we're gonna have a tailwind, so recording will be better. Maybe. The wind muff thing's like soaked with sweat. But anyway, I think it's funny when I can easily pause and stop recordings with this camera with. Hello? Did it stop? Gotta watch out for that. Need to turn those off. And having to stop recording, you know, because of wind or whatever, intersection coming up, so I can pause it, easily stop it and start it. It allows me to reset in my mind and think about, oh, what was I going to talk about next? So that's turning a problem into a feature. It's a big thing in Zen and carpentry. Being able to turn problems and mistakes into something useful. And then mistakes are okay. It's all part of the process. Anyway, it reminded me, because I was like, well, there was something else I forgot to say. The whole thing about this too shall pass, which is becoming more and more of a common phrase. When I first learned it 20 years ago, I didn't really hear it all that often. It's pretty rare. There's some mud left over from the storm, the hurricane. It's not mud anymore, it's dried out. And then, mostly. They mostly come at night. And this too shall pass actually is a saying that goes way, 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 way back to apparently a king in India, maybe, or Tibet or Nepal. I don't know. Around that time. That time's like thousands of years. But a little hard to narrow it down. But they had a king that was, you think it's about trying to remind people about bad times don't last forever. That's not actually how it got started. It got started because they had a king that would spend all of his money. And then eventually a bad time would happen, a drought, famine, plague or something. And so the king, whatever they called it in that culture, royal court, had a bracelet or something made up for him that said, "This too shall pass." And it was subversive. It was meant also to remind him that good times are temporary. So quit blowing all your money when time's good, because you're going to need it when times are bad. It's kind of cool. Okay. Somehow that had to do with Zen and stuff. So let's talk about something more fun. Let's talk about aerodynamics and some cool tricks. Things that I learned from riding my tri-bike. After riding my gravel bike so much, going back to riding the tri-bike, which actually I'm really excited about doing again soon, and I wanted to the other day, but that road is still gravel, and it's a long, long road that is crucial to have on the route for training around here on the tri-bike, because the tri-bike's so fast, you need a lot of miles, a lot of road. and that road's screwed up. So, and I haven't ridden my gravel bike down this way for a while, so I just rode this instead. Or else I would be on the front bike today, I think, maybe. But the tri bike position being so much more slammed and aggressive than this, and that's on purpose. But actually, you want the gravel one up higher, because when you're descending on gravel and it's sketchy, you want your handlebars a little bit higher. It makes you feel a little bit more safe. You want them a little bit wider. And even on level ground, it's rougher and sketchier, more ball bearing, whatever. So you want the front end just a tad bit higher, and then you get the more comfort for the long haul. With when it's gravel and off-road, comfort turns more into speed. There's more of a factor for speed than just like slammed aero. Yeah, so I had Unbound XL 350 miles. They're riding like gravel bike or mountain bikes and stuff with suspension. Those are the people that win. Instead of totally rigid, slammed, narrow positions. Anyway, so being so slammed on there over the period 5 hours plus over the period of 2 weekends, kind of grew into it a little bit, and then coming back to this bike, it feels really open and less challenging. I need some yeah, we need to finish this ball. The position doesn't feel quite as tough, tight, and to go fast, and also because it's sketchy on gravel. I mean, 50% of people don't have aero bars at all. They just ride regular hoods and whatever. God bless their hands, because that's rough on the hand. And then one of the reasons you have aero bars, they're called comfort bars, because they give your hands a break from all the vibration. It was nice at Gravel Loco, so my hands were starting to kill me, to be able to just plop down in the aero position, rest on my elbows and just with my hands. Where I would see people in front of me riding, shaking their hands out constantly, and riding upright and catching a ton of wind. So they're not illegal for age groups. I highly recommend them. Anyway, let's drink. I mention that one time every show, at least. But what I noticed, being more slammed, that my back, because I didn't do too much at once, I spread it out over a couple of rides. My back had no problem being lower, my neck, no problem being lower than before. So instead of, you know, riding in this position, this aero position, and then to take a break, needing to ride all the way up like this, with my hands on the bar, on the hood, which is really un-aero. It depends on the stack height and how you have your bike set up. But what you really want, you want two things. If my forearm is my torso and this is my head, I'm going that way, You want your head to be in line with your torso as much as possible. You can get a little bit like this. What you don't want is this. And then your eyes looking forward like that. Behind my hand, the top of my hand, that creates a big suction. It makes you really slow. I'm kind of doing it right now. The bad way. So you want your head to be in line with your torso. And then also if you do that, then you don't nowhere near need as much an aero helmet. Because the aero helmet really fills the gap behind your head if you're riding with your head up, looking forward. It smooths out. I just lost a whole lot of recording. I think from doing the hand stuff. That sucks. If you learn to ride in the drops, then your head could be more like this instead of like this, because your whole torso is lower. I'd rather see. I already know this hill. I don't need to see how tall the hill is. Yeah, and then you don't need an aero helmet as much because your regular helmet is in line with your body. And by being overly slammed in the tri-bike and getting used to it, then riding in the drops like this, my head's more in line with my torso, and it's way more aero and faster. But the thing is you don't want to be uncomfortable doing it. So in coaching, what we teach is just do doses of it. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Now see, I'm going really slow up this. So this is perfectly fine to sit way up. The wind is not a factor. It's a good time to stretch your back out too. With aero bars, you actually have 4 positions. You got hoods, drops, here, and then the pads. Also to almost ride like you're riding sitting up, but you still have control. Like no hands, but you still have control. I'm essentially riding in the same position as no hands, which is really good for the back. So doing that 5 hours over a couple weeks got me used to being a little bit lower and doing that. And then what I noticed was there's fog on my lens. Go away. What I noticed was, what did I notice? I forgot. Hold on, I'll be right back when I remember. Well, one thing I noticed was when you're narrow in the aero position, you only got so much throwing back and forth you can do with the bike, right? It's all in your hips. You can do some, but what's more powerful is throwing it back and forth. And then with your don't pause bike camera, you can push up and down with your upper body too, do some body English in it. So throw back and forth like that. Build you some power. Head's low. I mean, almost the only difference between riding in the drop with your head low is now your back's low too. Okay, now we're going so I can ride upright. And use the time to ride upright to do it if you've got a tailwind, whatever, you stretch out your back. And then you can spend more time in the arrow position when it matters. Because it's about to matter right here. Well, you're down in the drops like this. It's almost no different in body position as far as your torso and head between being in the arrow bar. See that? The camera, my head, hardly dropped at all. I just brought my arms in. So it's a really efficient, fast position. What's interesting is over the decades, where roadies position their handlebars, how high up, and whether they rode in the top or in the drop, has changed over the years. I think roadies have slammed them, the handlebars, so much that they're pretty much riding on the tops of the bar as their lower arrow position, right? Where my hand is down here, that's where the tops of their bars are. And then that gets their whole body, and then they've got their hands where their brakes and stuff are, and shifting, which is really important to them because they're combat cycling when they're riding roadie style in a group like that. Hold on, we're going to turn into a headwind right now. Now what's interesting is that unlike road cycling, gravel and Ironman, non-crawl, non-drafting, is the opposite of combat cycling. We had to pause for that stop sign there. Aerodynamics means way more to us than pacing. So to get here, and I can do this side to side, put down power because I can go side to side, and then once I get up to power, I'm already low, so I'm overcoming the drag to help me get fast. And then now, there's a car coming. See if I can not get hit. This takes balls right here. Woo. Now that I'm going plenty fast, but then there's another trick. You say, oh, Coach Brett, it is really dangerous for me to have my head down in line with my body because now my eyes are pointing down. And I can't see where I'm going. And I shall crash. It's really dangerous. And you are correct. But there's something that people forget about. They think to look forward, you have to lift your head a lot, like I'm doing right now. Got my neck craned up, looking forward hard. But I got a good tailwind, so it's slow, so it's okay. The trick that people forget, and this is useful in swimming as well, so you can be more of a torpedo, which is way faster, is look up with your eyes. Keep your head still, looking down. Now, without moving your head, look forward and up with your eyes. And then you can see ahead with barely lifting your head. And you only do it, you look forward and up with your eyes as much as you possibly can. All right, the camera died. The remote has plenty of battery life, 6 hours, but this camera, I was like, let's see, like an hour and 15 minutes. But it's good because it cuts me short. I've still got 2 hours to go, hour and a half to go. And so I thought I'd just record something real quick in this nice shady area and finish up what I was talking about. So you bring your helmet down, look forward with your eyes, say these are your eyeballs, as far as you can, and then just lift your helmet up just enough so that you can see with your eyes, looking forward. And it's weird, it turns out it doesn't strain your eyes. You think it would, looking up all the time, but I guess your eye muscles are weird where once they're set in a place, it doesn't really seem to bother them so much. I mean, maybe it does, maybe I'm just used to it, but okay, he drinks some more water. I thought I was getting like super, there it is, heat adjusted. Like, I was really impressed with myself, I'm like, oh wow, I'm awesome. Turns out the temperature's 5 to 8 degrees cooler than usual because of the hurricane coming through and the winds out of the northeast, and the moisture brought the temperature down too. And so another thing I noticed by riding in the drops more, instead of up here more, you're way more aerodynamic, but because I did it on the tri-bike being so low, it got me so I'm more used to being like this into the wind instead of like this, like that. And I think my average speed went up half a mile per hour to almost a mile per hour on average by spending more time. I was just going from these to these, but we don't spend enough time in these, I think. And so that was really nice. And then the next thing is I got to get home because I got to pack to go to San Diego next week. And the rest of the day is going to be spent doing that. And yeah, so I got about 2 hours left. Oh, there's some horses over here. Let's see what they're doing. Hey, buddy. Let's get them both in here. And there you go. It's been nice recording the show. If I see any wild creatures, I'll make sure to get that in there. Got just a little bit more gravel to do. About 20 minutes more gravel, maybe. And then it's pavement mixed in the rest of the way. Gotta go see how the new gas station's coming along. And yeah, get on it. He's getting a little curious. He's like, oh, maybe this guy's got some hay. You wanna go say hi? Let's see if we can get him to come say hi. Oh, what was that? Oh. Okay, I'll leave you alone. I need to get going anyway. All right, been nice talking with y'all. We'll turn this into a podcast. Lots of good information in this one. Be back. All right, I thought to film the thing that I didn't get to film before the battery died on the video, I'd pick a funny backdrop about something that reminds me of, there was this guy that did a video, maybe it's 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and he was bragging about how many marathons he's done. And it was like so annoying, and it became a meme for a while. Because when you think about it, anybody that does this stuff for a long time has just tons of these. It was like, it made him look so bad because it was not that impressive. It looked braggy. And so these are not all mine. These also are Emily's and Kai's. And so I demonstrated to you the last thing about holding your head exactly right, and relaxing your neck and stuff, if this was your head.
I thought, what do I do for a backdrop? Because there's all kinds of stuff. And this room's a mess. I'm not even going to turn around and show you the rest of it, because this is a functioning training room, and this is just one wall on it, wall and a half. I do not want to turn around and show you the mess that it is. But I just thought, just for fun on here, we should show all the stuff, because it is pretty cool. If it doesn't get documented anywhere ever, then it'll be lost to time. But most of these are participation medals. But there's Iron Mans in here. That's an Iron Man of some sort. I can't even see, And then, but here's some like local stuff and triathlons and 5Ks, a lot of 5Ks, and there's Iron Man Canada in there. Lighting's not so good in here. That's not what this room is for. And then, but it was funny is when you pick them up, like how deep some of these go. And then it's a Mardi Gras 5K beach run and all that. And then there's more. And then where'd it go? There's more. And then just race numbers. Emily did all this. And more. And there's some third place. There's a couple of first places. There's a first place right there. Triathlons, and there's one I ran with a blind lady, Kathy, and which was really inspirational. Did a half marathon together. That's my first ever. That's me right there with my knee-high socks right there. I was like 9 years old. And then if we back up, this is and again, a lot of these are Kai's and stuff, and Emily's too. And then just cool stuff. There's me and Hillary Biscay, just meeting after. And this is Kai after he swam across Lake Bryan, which was a half Ironman. He did it at like, was he 9 years old? And then there's my my first shoe of doing a Ironman Wisconsin. It was my third Ironman, but somebody threw them in the dumpster because I left them at a gym and I had to go dig it out of the dumpster. And this is Kai's little toddler cycling jersey. And then here's some cool stuff. This is doing Ragnar Relay with a 4-person team in second place. There's a first place, third place. A lot of good podium stuff for triathlons and kids stuff. Here's Kai's stuff. And then there was one, first place in something. I can't see what that is. Try Aggie Land. And then, yeah, so a nice mix of local stuff. And so that guy, there's some other ones. There's a first place down there too. And it just like keeps going on and on. But like when that guy posted his stuff about how awesome he was, it was like, dude, I'm just a normal person that's been doing this stuff for a long time. You're not that impressive. And then like there's more. Like this would, like, I mean, they just keep going, Anyway, and then the thing is we quit putting them up about 5-10 years ago because there were just so many. Now we're starting to get into marathon mountain biking and cross-country mountain bike racing. Here's an Ironman, Texas, probably Galveston. Yeah, this kind of stuff laying around. So I just thought it was kind of funny. If I am going to video something, I need to turn this room into my podcasting studio. But where I'm standing right this second there's a bike always sitting right here. And so there's not enough room. And yeah, again, a good third of this stuff or more is Kai and Emily. So it's not all mine. And so anyway, the thing I didn't get to finish talking about is if you do sit upright, and this is your head, my fist is your head, and to stretch out your back, you still, and we're going to talk about tire pressure. Oh, and I'm going to show you a video of an alligator that I just saw finishing up my ride. If you sit upright, you still want to tilt your head down and relax your neck and do this with your neck because you've been doing this for so long and then kind of looking up where the top of my wrist is right there. That starts to hurt and get sore. So when you're sitting up, shake your head out like this, because if you ride upright with your head up and then your eyes looking forward like this, that's a lot of drag right here behind your head where those medals are, right? Let's do that. Where that picture frame is, that white one. That's a lot of drag right behind my hand. So
tilt down and still be looking ahead and then shake your neck out, because you've been doing this and tilting up. And it's really smart to do that, because this is a lot of drag sitting there upright, riding like that as well. And I noticed today that I went a lot faster. I went about a mile per hour faster than usual by using these techniques that I've been explaining to you on the show. And so go check that out. And then there's a box for the power meter pedals and just camelbacks like crazy. But then what I wanted to show you was, I talked earlier about tire pressure. And where did it go? Did I set it down somewhere? Hold on, let me go grab it. Gosh dang it, it was in my pocket. That was so stupid. Okay, this is a digital tire pressure gauge. And what I was talking about earlier was, let's see, turn it on. This was one that was recommended to me by the local bike shop. It's a pretty good one. And what I was trying to say earlier is, if you want to see if a tire's got a leak in it, you can air up your tire, and with a digital tire gauge, you can come back later or after a ride and get a really precise reading on how much air it's losing and if it's worth messing with. And it'll switch, we can go to mode and switch it from PSI to bar. And before I started my ride, I think I was at like 32 to 35 PSI. And so it's been 7 hours, maybe 4 hours, and it's been a few hours since I rode. And again, we're gonna test this tire pressure and then go right into the alligator and then finish out this video. But let's see how much air this this tire lost. And then, yeah, go in the comments and tell me if I should turn that room into the podcasting studio. It'll take some work, because there's a treadmill in there too. Oh, we're gonna do this. Okay, so let's see. 29.8, so it lost some pressure. So it lost a couple PSI over a day or two. So now I gotta figure out what I gotta do about that. It could be the valve stem where it connects here, you know, where you screw it down and tighten it. And the way to figure that out is you fill up a bathtub, or you find a pool or something like that with water that's a few inches deep, and then set the ass end of your bike or the tire or whatever underwater and see where it's bubbling out of. And then that's secure. All right. So that's enough of this stuff. This bike needs a bath. And I got a pack to go to San Diego. So let's leave the episode here by watching a alligator that I found on the side of the Navasota River basking. I think it got displaced by the storm. And we have alligators around here, but they're really rare to see. And they don't get very big. So it's kind of a treat to see one. I always look for snakes, and then I'm like, holy crap, an alligator. And then I tried to be really quiet so I wouldn't spook it away. But it's pretty neat. So let's finish out the video with that. And yeah, leave some comments on what we should do with all that stuff in the training room. Oh, I was about to say, I don't have anything from swimming Lake Tahoe, but I do. Hold on, let me pan up so you don't have to see the room, because it's messy. Emily would be so pissed if we showed the room. I mean, it is set up for training. That's swimming across Lake Tahoe. And Emily made a photo montage. And that's how little Kai was. 22 miles across Lake Tahoe. We swam from those mountain ranges in the back. That's me coming out of the water and collapsing on the beach. That's Jamie Patrick, my buddy. They got me to do it. And then those are the goggles that I wore to do the swim. It's a lot like swimming across the English Channel, you know, so you want to commemorate it. And then English Channel's 21 miles, Lake Tahoe's 22. There's no sharks and no currents, but it's at high altitude. And so it's kind of similar in a way. And then an article they wrote about me in the paper for doing it. It's pretty cool. So in your training room, this is really nice stuff to have motivationally wise to keep you going
And that's the real purpose of having all this stuff. Put it in your training room and keep you going. All right, let's watch some alligators. Let's go.
Holy crap, that's an alligator. It's a baby. See his striped tail. Displaced from the storm, probably. But people wonder. I have never seen one in the wild right here. South of here, yeah, east of here. Yeah. Now I'm looking around me, I'm realizing I should be looking around me. Get focused on the one way over there. There you go, there it is. I'm using that a little bit. Do not fall in. There's definitely more if there's one. Looks like 4 to 5 foot, not very big. Of course, he's kind of far away, so he could be bigger. What a treat to see one. I guess I go over here and get a better view. Still looking to make sure there's not one around me. Don't want to slip in. This is a big slope. It's muddy right here. Just watching for a little bit. It was my teenage days. I would have thrown, or middle school days, I would have thrown a rock at it to get it to move just to see what it does. But I've learned now that's just harassing wildlife. You can't just get that. Look at that. Wow. Big happy, let's see how close we can zoom. I guess that's about it. Big happy alligator. Okay. Navasota River at the end of Sulphur Springs Road. And yeah, is that on a gravel bike ride? There's my bike right there. Came down here, I usually look for snakes.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the show. We're about to head off to the San Diego airport and try to get back to College Station, Texas via Dallas. It's going to be a day of flying, and I'll be editing this podcast while I'm waiting in the terminal between planes or even on the plane. So remember, for the next episodes, we're going to be training for a 6-hour mountain bike race that's half in the afternoon and then half at night. That's going to be really cool. Just doing laps, about an hour each, maybe a little bit under an hour, but trying to keep under that so you can get in as many laps as you can before the cutoff at 6 hours. That'll be a lot of fun. And then also testing out some carbon fiber parts for the triathlon bike or aero bars, and whatever bike you put aero bars on. They're like hyper adjustable, but also the elongated ones that your whole forearms rest in. I'm super excited to be trying these out. And also, don't forget, if you want to support the show, it is much appreciated. And you can do that at patreon.com/ZenTry. Thank you, Derby Dan. And also, if you want to reach out to me for some coaching or product reviews or sponsorships on the show or advertising, whatever you want to do, let me know at texafornia@gmail.com. Everybody stay safe out there, work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.